start with this evening's Anderson County Board of Commissioners meeting for for December. I'm jumping ahead for December. Tonight, we will have a presentation. Start out with a presentation by Nick Val from the Anderson County Highway Department. So, Mr. Val, if you'd like to come up.
Hello, my name is Nick Val. Work part-time for the Highway Department. Primarily, I just try to get federal grants or state grants for the Highway Department. Anything else Mr. Long may need me to do. So this one is for a grant called Safe Streets and Roads for All. And so give you a little insight into what this grant is. It is, you got two different pots of money you can get from it. One is a planning and demonstration. So planning and demonstration would be a safety action plan. Demonstration would be like a small specific area to try different safety apparatuses for a roadway. And the other part is implementation of roadway safety devices that were identified or problem areas identified in the safety action plan. Successful applicants will have to promote safety to prevent death and serious injuries on roadways, employ low-cost, high-impact strategies for a wide geographic area, ensure equitable investment for underserved communities in urban and rural areas, incorporate evidence-based projects, and adopt innovative technologies and strategies, and demonstrate engagement with the public and private stakeholders. Now, how this grant was awarded to us was originally in 2022, Knoxville TPO got a grant to do a safety action plan for all of the territory that Knoxville TPO covers, which for us, that included the southern part of the county, mainly the Claxton area, Oak Ridge, Oliver Springs, and the city of Clinton. At our request, after I met with TPO, they did what's called a supplemental grant, and that request was to do a safety action plan that would include the rest of the county as well as Norris and Rocky Top. The application was turned in July 10th and was awarded on December 14th. The contract to develop was awarded to Alta, who did the safety action plan for the TPO back in 2022, and the award was $30,000. The grant is technically awarded through the TPO, and the grant covered 80% of the cost, so $24,000. So the remaining part was 20% match, was cost the county $6,000. Now, the safety action plan is a comprehensive safety plan aimed at reducing and eliminating serious injury and fatal crashes affecting all roadway users. It is guided by the safety system approach and its 6 core principles, which is death and serious injuries are unacceptable, humans make mistakes, humans are vulnerable, responsibility is shared, safety is proactive, and redundancy is critical. The development of our action plan, the key component of it is we have to do 2 public meetings for public engagement in order to satisfy the grant criteria. So that's one reason why I'm presenting this, is to make point of there's a website called Social Point that was created, same one that Sevier County has used for theirs, and it is on the county's main website. The public will be able to drop pins on the map, make comments, and it's a pretty self-explanatory website, which I'll go through here in just a minute. Then the meetings will be scheduled towards the end of January, and another one sometime in March, which those will be established later, and those will be for public to come, discuss some of the points, any other comments they may have. This action plan will include 8 corridors in the county, and 1 for Rocky Top and 1 for Norris. And using the social pinpoint link location is if you go to the main Anderson County website, it is just below the address for the county right there pointed out in the arrows. And then once you click it, this takes you to the website. And where the arrow is pointing there, that is for the interactive map, and you just simply click on it. And here is the map. You have the set of instructions and how to identify areas of concern. So all you do down at the bottom where it says add marker, you can just zoom in to the area you want to go to, place a pinpoint, and on the left-hand side that says instructions, it has all the different criteria that you can select, and then you can put type your concern in there, and that'll leave a mark for us to be able to look at. Once the safety action is complete, and it's meets all the criteria that the federal government requires, then we can apply for full implementation of activities. Again, that is just low-cost items such as guardrail, striping, signage, any other innovative safety apparatuses that we could possibly put on the roadways. Now, the minimum award amount for the implementation money is $2.5 million, all the way up to a maximum of $25 million. That is why they encourage to cover a large area. There's been other counties and communities and cities, they would team up together to get this because the cost of signage, guardrail, and everything is relatively low cost, and it will take a high amount to even hit the 2.5 million mark. So we'll be looking at trying to team up with our cities and possibly other counties in order to try and get the grant money to implement safety action plans. And that's the end of my presentation. Does anybody have any questions?
This staff's pretty cool. This is fascinating.
Is there any way you could email that to us, to the commissioners, that presentation, that slideshow?
Yes.
Thank you.
If there are no other questions, we thank you so much. We
Thank you for your
appreciate you
time.
bringing this to us. The website looks, or the interactive map looks amazing. So that completes our agenda for the 6:30 portion of the meeting. So we will stand in recess until 6:30.
Do I go back down?
I got a bunch of stuff ordered. I got a Copper Hill.
My husband had it, and but he was.
Everyone, welcome to the December County Commission meeting. We'll call this meeting to order. Looks like we have quorum. All 16 are present. Before we get started, Commissioner McCamey, I'd like to. Several complaints about our last commission meeting, people not being able to hear. And one of the things I've noticed here with us is that we do this after we get through speaking, and then we forget to bring it back down. And I talked with Andy today. He's going to make sure that it's not the system itself that's causing the problem. But
use your mics so
Yeah.
that people can talk, because I got several complaints about this past meeting.
Yeah, that seems to be the call of the day today. So, you heard Commissioner McCamey, please use your microphones. So before we also get started, y'all, I know this is a surprise, but I'm really kind of going outside of the order of the agenda. Bear with me and I apologize, but I'm going to do something right now that I always promise her I'll never do this. But if Annette would come forward, please. I'm going to pass this down to Anthony. That way she don't have to come in. But this is if some of you all don't know, this is Annette Pruitt. She is our chief deputy. Annette is I would say the neck that makes the head turn. She's the neck, the head, the spine. She's about and Anthony's got you. She is she's as good as it gets. She takes really great care of us. So we just wanted to wish you a Merry Christmas and thank you so much for everything that you do for us. And I will open it up to anybody that would like to give a pleasantry to Annette.
When Mary retired, I thought, we're in trouble. Now, some of y'all might not remember Mary, but Mary was not only the head and the neck, and the spine, she was but I really thought we was in trouble. But I honestly think that we're in good hands, and I appreciate the job that you've done. You followed in some big footsteps, but you have filled them nicely. Thank you very much.
Thank all of you.
I would like to say that as a newer commissioner, that she was always very, very gracious, very, very kind, and very, very patient. I could always call her up and ask her, questions about things, and she was always patient, and she always got back to me. Thank you very much, Annette.
I was going to say the same thing. Thank you for your patience.
I will post, yeah. So I will post the text message she sends me later tonight on Facebook, just so I can prove to you guys that she will not. That's the one great thing about her. She does not do any of this for recognition or spotlight. What you just saw there is probably something that she wishes we wouldn't have called her up. But she's just a hard worker and has done so much for this county. All right, moving on. First, we will start with our prayer, then we'll go to our Pledge of Allegiance. First, on our prayer, we have Mr. Jackson Perkins. Jackson is a 7th grader at Clinton Middle School. He plays on the middle school football team. I've known the family for a few years. I used to go to church with them. But Jackson has most recently preached his first sermon. And so a good young man that comes from a great family. So he's going to offer us up tonight with prayer, and then Commissioner Foster is going to lead us in the pledge.
Amen. But Lord God, I thank you, Lord Jesus, for just allowing us to come here, Lord God, and just being able to praise your name, Lord God. And I pray, Lord, for this meeting, Lord God, that you'll just guide over it, Lord, that you help us to make the decisions that we need to, Lord Jesus. And I pray, God, that you'll just help us, Lord God, with this nation, Lord God, that you'll just help us, Lord, to do what we need to do, Lord God. Please bind the enemy from our hearts, Lord. And if there's a need in this room, I pray you will meet that need, Lord God. Love you, we praise you. Amen.
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 Good job.
Attention.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Jackson, I appreciate it. If there's something you want to say?
Yeah, can I say
Yeah, go ahead.
So the Lord really put a verse on my heart that I'd like to share, and it's Isaiah 9:6, and it says, "For unto us a child is born, unto us a son is given, and the government shall be upon his shoulder, and his name shall be called Wonderful, Counselor, and the Mighty God, the Everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace." So when the Lord pointed out this verse to me, it just established a thought in my head that the Lord He's all-knowing, He knows everything, He's great, He's powerful, and that it really just, if you're having trouble believing the Bible is real, you can come back to Isaiah 6 and Isaiah 9:6, and you can figure out that the Bible is real, because this is 1,000 years before Jesus' birth, but right here it's talking about Jesus' birth. So you can see that this really helped me to believe in Jesus and to just act upon my faith, and it just really helps me to experience the things that God has given us, that He is a miracle worker, He is a promise keeper, and that He will establish peace unto all people, and that He will give us everything that we need. And that's all I wanted to say.
Amen.
Thank you, Jackson.
Amen.
So, again, thank you, Jackson. Jackson is, again, a 7th grader at Clinton Middle School, acts well beyond his years, and attends Black Oak Baptist Church in Clinton in their district, in District 5. And so, again, thank you. It's amazing to see how he's grown and what he's grown up to be. So, all right. Before appearance of citizens, we've got a couple announcements. One that should have been put on the agenda as a presentation, that is my fault, is with Mr. Burge. He was here at operations to talk to the committee. But first, where'd Shayla go? Oh, yep, she's there. She just has a brief announcement. She'd like to introduce us to a new member.
Yes, just wanted to take the chance to introduce you guys to a new member of our staff. As you guys may see her around in the community. This is Taylor, and she is a part-time prevention coordinator with us. So we're excited to have her on staff. She is currently pursuing her master's in public health at the University of Tennessee. So she actually came to us with a partnership from them, and so they've been sending students to us since last semester. Students that are finishing up their degree with their master's.
Thank you for having me here.
Good to meet you. Commissioner Yeager?
Excuse me a second. Not everybody knows who we are, even though most of us do. So if you could come back and explain what organization you are representing. Not everybody knows it, but most of us do.
Yeah, you said about who ASAP is? I can do that. So ASAP is the Drug Prevention Coalition here in Anderson County. And so we work in primary prevention, but we also have a tertiary prevention side to our work, working in recovery support and doing the Lockstone and Tennessee Save a Life training, but primarily working with our youth and providing lock boxes and different trainings and things to our youth throughout the county in all 3 school districts.
Okay. Mr. Burge, the floor is yours, sir. I told him he had 60 minutes and not a minute more.
Okay, I got books for everyone here, I think, tonight. Thank you.
The boss is here to help. What? Crowbar. Right behind you.
Does everybody have one? Did you get one second?
Nope, I'm going to try to see that.
No, I did not.
No, 3.
Got a bunch more. I did this all backwards.
Save the best for last, didn't you?
You got 57 minutes now, Mr. Burge.
Let's see. And you got yours? I've got my daughter April with me here tonight, but I know we talked a little bit last week about the book and a few things about it, and I'm going to let April talk about a little bit about the curriculum that's supposed to go up on the website maybe tonight or tomorrow, but our website's evergreenchristmastree.com. But I wrote this book 16 years ago about a brother and sister that I grew up with in Anderson County that's no longer with us today, but they had a big impact on my life, so I wrote the story about them several years ago, and I ran into a lady last October from Alabama that was involved in productions, and she took my story and presented it to a production company in Hollywood, of all places, and K&K Production, and so they took the story and helped me get the book out, and they're working on doing an animated film, and they've got an A-list actor that's going to narrate the animated film, and they say they're going to come here and do a live film after the animation. And I was telling last week, if you look at a pie chart, this book is like 1/8 of the project. There's a lot of things, merchandise, and a lot of different things going on with it. They're going to have a celebrity book signing out there. We were hoping to have it this week, but the book, we're waiting on it to come out on the Barnes & Noble platform, and that's when the hardbacks will be out. And it's supposed to go global. It was supposed to went global last week, up for global sales, but these platforms are slow getting all the information, and just TikTok, going slow. By the way, we're on TikTok, but I think they're fixing to ban it, sounds like. We've been on a couple of talk shows through Zoom calls with Los Angeles radio shows, and I've done a few here. I think we're fixing to be in the Clinton Courier this week. Been on the Halloran Hill show and WISH, and I've written a bunch of other stuff that they have out there that they're looking at, and quite a few songs and things that go along with the book and the movie, and different things. They're trying to figure out how to use them, where to use them. Let's see, if y'all have any influence with any with the Oak Ridger or the Knoxville News Sentinel, if anybody does, I'd appreciate the help, or any TV interviews or anything you can get us on. But April has written, she's written some stories also that they're looking at, and she's a big help to me. She's the brains of this operation, but she wrote the curriculum. It's the people I'm working with, they call it ESE, which is Exceptional Student Education, and I've done a little research and talking with them, and it's for at-risk children, special education children, and it's help, with anybody with any type of disabilities to progress them through learning. And so through all of that, with the book, as you read it, it has different meanings and different lessons in life. And if you look at it real close, you will see there are many parables in there to what our Lord requires of us or expects from us. And so very special, to be a part of that. And they're trying to get it in Scholastic, however all of that works. I know they're aiming at that also, and hoping to get it in Dolly's library, and I know they're trying to get it in Goldie Hawn's library. on Facebook. I don't know, some of you may have seen it, but Lily Tomlin has her copy. There's a picture with her holding up her copy. But we're hoping that maybe the county, and we're hearing with the people that I'm working with, that other school districts and other states will sometimes set aside money to buy books for certain areas or certain situations. And so I don't know if the county commission does any of this, or if that's a possibility, but if it is, I'd like you to keep that in mind. If we could get the book into some children's hands that otherwise may not have the opportunity to see it. But I'm going to turn it over to April and let her talk a little bit about the curriculum.
Okay. All right, can you hear me? Am I close enough? All right, I guess I'll just, I'll start passing around, one on one side and one on the other. So my name is April Hicks, and I'm Jimmy's daughter. I was a teacher at Clinton Middle School for 3 years before I became a stay-at-home mom, so that's what I'm doing now. And that was just 2 years ago, so it hadn't been that long. But I created these standards-based lesson plans. I've got K through second on one side and third through fifth going around on the other side. But basically, they're just for general classroom use. I went to the education standards for each grade and subject and pulled the ones that could relate to the book, and then created the activities that could fit with those standards, and then I grouped them up, K through 2 and then third through fifth. So the lower age group has some basic comprehension questions that could be answered in like a group setting with the teacher leading the discussion. There's a life cycle activity for the white pine, which is the tree that's in the book. There's activities comparing the Rocky Mountains to the Appalachians, showing how different they are, how they look different, and the different types of organisms that live there, and, the people in the Appalachians, where they came from, and several other activities that go with that. And then the older group has more in-depth questions, a close reading about the Appalachians, some fact sheets about coal, because there's coal and the coal train in the book, a food web based on native animals, because that was part of the third grade standards. And then in both sets of activities, I've included some Christmas sign language signs, and that's a big part of the book. I don't know if Dad mentioned it, but the book has a character that uses sign language. He's deaf, so that's a big part of the book and a big part of all the major project that's going from the book. So that's included in there. And then there is also a highly coveted biscuit recipe from our very own Meemaw, Hannah Faye Douglas. So that's worth it, just for that. So my vision for the lessons is that they would be used for the framework for like a day's worth of lessons, or half a day of lessons, like right before Christmas, where you have some time to do those things in the classroom. And you could do this by setting the scene with the Christmas tree in the room, and children could be invited to make the simple old-fashioned decorations like the book describes. If there's no food allergies, you can make the biscuits beforehand and have them for the kids to try, or you could send the recipe home with them so that they can make it with their own families. The curriculum will be on the website, evergreenchristmastree.com. The book's available on Amazon, and you can also check it out on the website. So that's basically all I've got. So we just appreciate you allowing us to get up here and talk. Thank you for the opportunity for us to share the book and the curriculum, and we appreciate any kind of support that you can give.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Commissioner Isbell.
Mr. Burge, before you step away, would you give the other commissioners and folks at home a little bit about your background and where you're from?
Yeah, what? I didn't hear you.
A little bit about your background and where you're from.
Yeah.
Especially where you're from.
Yeah. Yeah. I grew up over the mountain in New River, in I guess the northern part of Anderson County. And when you read the book and the curriculum, part of that's going to be some a river, that we fished and swam in all of our life over there. one of the hollows that you read about in the book is one I've hunted in all of my life. And, so a lot of, you know, the Rosedale School, and so the people in the community, the Phillips family, you know, was a big part of, you know, of my growing up. I was around them about every day, and when I wrote the story, that was the only thing that came to my mind. It was the only thing I could write, and I think I told them last week I couldn't write fast enough. It came to me so fast, like 30 or 40 minutes, I wrote the story. But the deaf character Raymond that you'll see in the book, he was also a member of our community, and everybody loved Raymond. He was one of the old timers, and so yeah, he was a character. He was hard of hearing, and so the Alabama people asked me, and the California people, they're big advocates in the deaf community, so they asked me to write a deaf character in, and when they did, I knew exactly who to put in there. So I put Raymond in there, and a few things about him, his old rock house that he lived in, his old footbridge, and the mule that you see here. Actually, the mule came from a friend of mine in Dutch Valley. The mule is even local, so. Keith Phillips in Dutch Valley, some of you may know him. I don't know if Jerry knows him, but lives at the foot of Walden Ridge, but he has mules, and I called Gary. I believe I seen you, Gary. Yeah, I called Gary. Gary told me to get a hold of Keith, and so I got a hold of Keith, and he sent me a picture. So even the mule's local, but everything in here is Anderson County. So it's been a blessing to write it and be a part of it, and it's a fun trip. So
Good
a lot
deal.
of work, but it's been fun.
Appreciate what you do.
Yeah, Commissioner Allen.
Yes,
I do.
I still didn't hear you.
I said we appreciate what you do.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, this is a wonderful book, sir, and I would really like for this commission asking Mr. Josh Anderson, how can we get this book in the Anderson County libraries? I think they should be in our libraries. Is there a way to get it in our libraries, Josh?
Yeah, I think especially if I don't know if it's on a platform where they can order from yet, but if people wanted to donate it, especially since it's local and written by somebody local, they've got special collections they can put it in, or children's section. So yeah,
I'd like to work with you on that if I could, find out how to make sure that this book is in our Anderson County libraries.
Amen. Wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
All right, thank you. All right, we're going to move on to the appearance of citizens. This is a point in our agenda where we allowed individuals to address County Commission on items that may or may not be on our agenda. You will get 3 minutes to speak. It's some new faces, so I'll give my spiel again, but anything that's deemed anything, derogatory, offensive, or inflammatory to individuals or anything like that, this is the warning, and we will stop you at that point. But and I will like to say too, I know that most of us have probably received a lot of emails surrounding school vouchers today. That is not on the agenda for discussion at all. I'm not sure. I don't know what the intent will be of the commission once we get to approving the agenda, but there were some references about that, about us taking that up tonight on the agenda, and that's just not the case. So at this time, I will open it up to anyone that would like to speak to us. Again, you'll come to the podium, give us your name, your address, and then we will start the 3-minute timer at that point. Is there anybody? Mr. Mullins, I see the hand almost up. Go ahead. And again, just as a reminder, appreciate it. Comments will be addressed to the chair, not directly to a commissioner or a member of the audience. Go ahead, sir.
My name is Nathan Mullins. I'm from Oak Ridge, in the interest of keeping with the spreading the good news of the holidays, I'll offer a positive overview of the great new developments that new leadership has inspired in this country and in the heartland that, of course, Tennessee represents best. The blessings of peace and God's grace. So, on behalf of children, parents, and the traditional Christian values that are still represented by the majority of people in this county, I want to reward citizens who have been waiting for taxpayer accountability. In our library systems, there are new results in the restriction of access to obscene materials to innocent children. You'll be relieved to know that inside every city in this state, there are people like myself working with constituent groups that have commiserated with their state representatives and have now begun to block the solicitation of minors by the grooming books offered by aggressive Democrat progressives. In Knoxville this month, the Honorable Representative Elaine Davis, who I successfully appealed to, has pulled 150 titles from the view of children they were offered to, so far starting in Knox County. They are half a dozen other large counties in this state that are doing the same. And it is worth noting that multiple representatives hailing from cities next to Anderson County are co-sponsoring these legal actions and the subsequent House bills that are forthcoming. I could tell you which bills are more likely to be implemented, but it is more pertinent to share certain realities with the public that will soon be misrepresented by the leftist media newspapers that run interference for the progressives that sell out our values. The good news that's coming is even better. My sisters in the crusade, Moms for Liberty, and my brothers in solidarity, the dads at school board meetings, are now being bolstered by the presidency of a resurgent Donald Trump. Not only is tough love coming for the rebellious children, like the woke scolds and Marxist class warfare brats, but Daddy is fixing to take a switch to that backside. But I tried to warn you while cutting the sapling myself. So, Merry Christmas to the moral majority, and may Santa bring liberals some salve for their sore spots. Thank you.
All right. Is there any other Christmas cheer that anybody would like to spread in commission? Yes, ma'am.
Hello, everyone. I'm Wendy Cox. I live at 674 Cane Creek Road. I'm a long-term resident of Anderson County. And I just wanted to take my 3 minutes to come in and tell you guys that I'm very concerned about our animal control problem in Anderson County. You know we have one. And I'm not here to complain. I was always taught that if something's worth complaining, it's worth rolling up your sleeves and working with people to come up with some solutions. So what I'm currently doing is I want to figure out how our county government supports that, kind of what the funding looks like, what are our challenges, and I've also been independently reviewing how other communities around our region and around the country handle this. So I'm currently in like a fact-finding mission. I believe I'm in the 4th district. I've not met my commissioner, but I want to be a friend to the commissioners. I also want to say thank you so much for serving our county and for serving your communities. So that's really all I have to say. I have that concern. I'm looking into it, and I know a lot of people in our community have that concern as well. So if anybody's working on that, I would be really interested in hearing that information. I've got some meetings this week to learn how the county, where we are, where we want to go, that type of thing. But I just wanted to come and voice my concern to the commission. Thank you so much, and Merry Christmas, everyone.
Merry Christmas. Thank you for your time. Okay. See, yes, ma'am. Hold on. I'll go to you, right there, I'll go to you next, okay?
I'm Melissa Heverdays. I live in Oak Ridge. I know a few of you from one of my roles. I have taught in a private school. I've sent a child to a private school. I know you're not talking vouchers tonight, but I've also sent 2 of my children to the public school. And I would ask the commission, maybe you will take this up one of these evenings, to present a united front in supporting our public schools. We need those resources. We need the investment that the children in public schools, we serve them all. And when you make a decision to send your child to a private school, that is your decision. And that is, well, let's face it, a pretty big burden to take upon yourself to do. But our public schools in Anderson County and Oak Ridge and Clinton are top-notch. And I would ask you to consider presenting United Front and voting, encouraging our state legislators to vote against the vouchers.
Thank you, ma'am. I'll go to you next, ma'am.
She said something about what I was going to talk about, so I don't know. Do I need to still talk?
Go ahead.
Okay. My name's Teresa Wright. I'm from 3244 Briceville Highway. I'm not good at this, so I'm going to do the best I can, okay? My friend wrote this for me because she said it would sound better for y'all to listen to than what I would say. It says, I want to thank you all for taking the time to meet with me today. I come before you not only as a concerned citizen, but also as someone who is deeply passionate about the well-being of animals in our community. We are facing a crisis that affects not only the animals themselves, but also the citizens who care for them and the dedicated staff at a shelter. As you may know, our local shelter is currently overwhelmed. The conditions are difficult, and the shelter is simply too small to address the growing numbers of animals in need. Stray dogs and cats are being brought in at an alarming rate, and the shelter is struggling to keep up. Every week, we are faced with the heartbreaking reality of female dogs and cats arriving pregnant, giving birth at the drop, being with the babies. We're in need of the capacity at the care for these animals, and more importantly, to prevent the cycle of suffering from continuing. I can't make it move. That is why I am here today requesting your support for 2 critical actions. First, I ask the authorize a budget for the construction of an expansion of the shelter so that we can provide a safe, nurturing environment for at least 50 dogs to 100 cats. The current space simply cannot accommodate the numbers of the animals that are being abandoned and rescued. We need the facility that is capacity to house some more of the animals with more adequate space for them to recover, receive medical attention, and wait for adoption. The expansion is not at the matter of convenience. It is the matter of survival for these animals. Second, we need more funding to increase our spay and neutering programs. The numbers of strays continues to grow because there are simply not enough resources available to spay and neuter the animals that are out there. Many of the animals are reproducing at an uncontrolled rate, contributing to the problem. More capacity for spaying and neutering would help us reduce the numbers of unwanted litters and curb the overpopulation crisis. If we can increase the number of animals fixed, we can break the cycle of suffering and give both stray and owned animals a better chance at a healthier and more stable life. The work that shelter does is vital. We cannot do it alone. We need support to make sure that these animals have a future. A shelter with capacity to care for more animals and to stronger focus on spay and neuter would
30
give
seconds.
us the tools. What?
You have 30 seconds.
The tools to save countless lives, reduce suffering, and address the overpopulation problem that devastates the community. I ask that you please consider the request that not just as a financial matter, but as a mortal imperative, the shelter is at the breaking point of the animals' suffering. I confided that we can create a solution which will benefit not only the animals, but the community. Thank you.
Right on the nose. 3 minutes on the nose. Okay. Seeing no one else, we will go ahead and move on to the approval and correction of agendas. First, we will start with our consent agenda. Commissioner Vice Chairwoman Vandergriff.
I would like to add the minutes from the
Opioid.
December 3rd opioid meeting. Several of the action items will be taken care of in other committee reports.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second for that consent agenda. Are you okay with that, Commissioner Allen?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Commissioner Yeager.
I have a clarification question. When we approve the consent agenda, do we approve the minutes only that are on here, or do we approve the action items that were taken?
I would probably my take, and this is just me, I'm just one person, but is that if there's an action item on the consent agenda and it doesn't get pulled to a regular agenda, then the county commission approves it. We've had that with some rules over the last 18 months that ended up on consent that went into effect, but I would maybe, I don't know if there's any legal precedent behind it, but maybe defer to Mr. Brooks to get his opinion. But I think if action items are on the on any of the agendas, it's no different than Robbie's consent agenda with budget transfers. Those are action items that get approved without discussion. So my position is that. That's just me.
All right. I think that's correct. I mean, and I think our rule states something of that nature too, that items on the consent agenda as passed. But I would defer to our legal on that if he has something different.
Okay. Commissioner Wandell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Since we're on the subject, I would like to understand, I missed some of the meetings, budgets and stuff, but one of the items that was on there is the Veterans Committee request to increase pay for the Veteran Service Officer. And it was on the consent agenda, and that agenda item passed, if I recall. But I was told that it needs to go through budget now, and if that's the process, then I'm for it. I'm not trying to break any rules, but I felt like as the Veterans Committee, we did our duty. We voted it up, passed it on, kept the mayor in the loop, and I just would like to get an update. Maybe I can get it from Robbie when we get into the meeting on where that item stands for the pay increase for a Veteran Service Officer.
And I would, Commissioner, thank you. I have talked to Robbie about this, and kind of my position is kind of what I said earlier is, in an ideally it goes to budget, but the fact is it didn't, and we as a commission approved it. But I mean, there's, Robbie can talk to that if he would like, but I know there's some discussion to that, and I know that if there's a more clarification given, that Robbie had told me he could, I guess, go retroactive back to that time where that individual would get the pay increase that was voted on. So I don't know if that helps, but.
It's my opinion. I mean, I agree that it got passed, but it should never been on the consent. It involves money, so there has to be a board vote. And it should have went through budget because there's not enough money in the budget code to pay that kind of a raise. That's a $10,000 raise, over $10,000. And there's not, and we already have issues with some payroll codes with some other departments. I'm not comfortable increasing someone's payroll when they don't have the money in place. That's just my opinion. That's what I said to Tyler. We can always retroactive back, take a budget increase back to any month, even July 1st if we need to. But I would prefer the money be in place first before we do that. But that's just my opinion. I'm not a voter.
Commissioner Wandell.
Thank you. Thank you, Robbie. So you said that you're not comfortable with it. I guess because the money is not available in the existing budget?
Right. It wouldn't be. It's not. I mean, obviously it is right now if you gave that kind of a raise, but it wouldn't be at the end of the year. There would definitely be a
Right.
shortage.
And look, I apologize. I just thought we're doing it the right way. It wasn't trying to be underhanded or anything.
Right. I don't think so at all.
The consent agenda was started years ago by a commissioner who, in my opinion, just wanted to move things along and not maybe talk about everything. So we just start this consent agenda. I was against the consent agenda when it started. I'm still against it today because this is the kind of things that happen. You don't have discussion really unless you pull it off the consent agenda and you start talking about it. But the chairman is right, and so are the others that spoke. Any item that passes the consent agenda is passed. When this body votes it up, it's done. So there's really no room for backtrack, in my opinion, and of course, legal can check it out and tell me different. But I'll just say this on that money for the veterans officer. I have had nothing but positive compliments on Mr. Nation and what he's done for this county and all the veterans, and I'm not debating you on that. I know you're looking at it from a monetary standpoint, and I respect you for that, and I mean that. Last number I heard is $6.9 million since he's been here, generated coming into the county, new funds. A lot of things are opening up for the county, thanks to Mr. Nation. He's doing a lot, and I can't be more proud of who he is and what he's doing for our veterans. That's since March. And we're not too far in, getting into a new year, not even a full year yet. So I'm excited about what he's doing for our veterans. And I think the $10,000 is a small contribution to what he's bringing into the county. And Mr. Nation, I want to say thank you for what you're doing. And I'll go to the budget meeting and make attendance and figure out what budget to pull that out of. But thank you for the time.
And I don't mind adding it to the budget committee, and it would come out of an unassigned fund balance. So
Okay.
that's the only.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir. Commissioner McCamey.
I just wanted to echo what Commissioner Wandale said. We had Leon Jaquette here as a veteran service officer, and people came from all over the county, surrounding counties, to see what he was doing and the way he was doing it. And I thought when he left, we're in trouble. But Scott Nation has picked up, and he's doing a marvelous job. And I just want to echo what he said. And that's something that we did as a committee. We set his salary and we hired him with the intentions of, when he got his training and all that finished, we would give him the raise. And I'm not, Mr. Wandale, I thought it was a done deal, but if he's willing to go to the budget committee with it and come back and take a board vote, we can do that. But we could put it on the agenda for tonight and see if we can get a 2/3 vote.
All right. Commissioner Barron.
I was just going to reiterate that we did hire Mr. Nation at a very low salary in comparison to what we were paying Leon, and with the promise that we would give him a raise after a short amount of time being here with the county.
Yeah. All right. So right now, just on the consent agenda, we've got just the addition of the opioid minutes minus the action items that are being taken up in our agenda, regular agenda. Commissioner Palmer.
Do we have a copy of the minutes in our packet? I didn't see them. The opioid minutes?
No, I'll have to email them to Annette. So do you want?
They were. I know that they were disseminated to operations and to budget.
The minutes were in
Both.
operations packet?
That's probably a long assumption, but Commissioner Isbell.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, just for clarification, most of that would be discussed in operations. I think all the action items that need to be taken action of from
Yeah.
the minutes will be brought up in operations committee.
And if we want, just for formality, bring the minutes next month, but we already have action items on the agenda for
Okay,
tonight.
thank you. Okay, thank you. I should say
Good,
that.
withdraw. All right. All right, that was probably the longest consent agenda ever. Okay, we got a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Regular agenda. Do we have anything? We have a motion by, is this? No. Okay. All right. We have a motion by Commissioner Foster and seconded by Commissioner Wandell. Commissioner McCamey.
Yeah, I'd like to add to the agenda the raise for our veteran service officer.
Okay. We have.
My understanding that'd take a 2/3 vote because it hadn't been the budget committee.
Right. We have in addition to the pay of Mr. Nation, I mean, Phil, I mean.
I'm not taking that. That's not my motion, so.
No, well,
Yeah,
my.
My motion to approve it as is.
Okay. So we have an amendment, though, by Commissioner McCamey to add. Huh?
Yeah.
So the question is will we put this under new business? I mean, it's been up and down. It's the way I look at it, it's a new. I know.
Okay.
This is a parliamentarian, which I
Go
think.
under- You can go under budget or new business if you choose. It doesn't-
All right, I'll put it under budget, so Robbie don't have to say any longer than he needs to.
Okay.
Assuming it passes, so we have an amendment to the motion by Commissioner Foster to approve as is. Is there a second to Commissioner Foster's amendment? I mean, I'm Commissioner Foster, Commissioner McCamey.
I'll second it.
Seconded by Commissioner Wandell. Commissioner Varon, is this on the amendment?
No.
We'll get to you in just a second. Any discussion on the amendment? All in favor of the amendment signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Motion carries. All right, new motion on the floor is the budget with the addition of Mr. Nation's, well, the increase of the veteran service officer pay following in, Robbie, we'll put that as your last item on your budget report. And is there any discussion on that motion now? Seeing none, all in favor of the agenda signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? No. All right, agenda is passed. We will now move forward to Mr. Gary Long, inventory report.
Thank you. I'd like to start out saying Merry Christmas and appreciate the job y'all do.
Merry Christmas.
I'd like to give you a copy of our inventory, but give it to accept it.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. I'm gonna give it to the secretary right here.
Just to enter it in, or do you want us to look at it? Do we need to look? Yeah. Okay, we'll pass it around. Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Long? Nick did a good job on the presentation, by the way.
Thank you.
That was
He
good.
does good work. We're glad to have him.
Yeah. All right, any questions for Mr. Long? Commissioner Anderson, is that a motion to approve the inventory report?
Yeah, accept the report and spread it on the minutes.
All right. Commissioner Wandell with a second. Is there any discussion on this motion? All right, seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gary. All right, UT Extension Office, the appointment of Shane Ogan, who is a farmer, replacing Joe Hall, farmer. Is there a motion by Commissioner Foster, second by Commissioner Wandell? Is there any discussion on the motion?
Is there anyone here from that office?
I don't see anybody. All right, no discussion. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Moving on, elected officials, County Mayor, Mayor Frank.
Yes, good evening, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. The first item on the mayor's report, I'm requesting a motion to approve the grant amendment for contract that is listed below 77833311. This grant amendment came in past the purchasing agenda deadline, but the amendment makes no material changes to the grant. It only extends the grant by 12 calendar days. This is a grant for the Sheriff's Department. If new hires meet certain requirements, they are eligible for a retention payment under this particular grant. Mr. Brooks has reviewed this and given his stamp of approval to form.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Wandell, seconded by Commissioner Allen. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
The next item is I'm requesting a motion to authorize the recorded hire date for Jamie Brooks, Law Director, as December 1st, 2024. This follows the expiration of his contract on November 30th, 2024. At the last meeting, I believe I spoke of entering a December 2nd date, thinking the first day of work in the office based on a prior if we hired someone. So I would like to record the date as December 1st if Commission is so willing.
All right. We've got a motion by Commissioner Wandell, seconded by Commissioner McCamey. Is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, the next item, Mr. Chairman, would require 2/3 vote of County Commission to put a financial number in the attached match that I am requesting. I took to operations agenda a fiber broadband grant that allows, it actually divides Anderson County into 3 project areas. This particular grant is for unserved and underserved locations in Anderson County. And so I am requesting a motion to authorize a $10,000 match. That would be for each project area, so it would be potentially $30,000. But again, this would require 2/3 of a vote.
Is the funding source just undesignated fund? Is that?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. We have a motion by Commissioner Allen, seconded by Commissioner Anderson. Commissioner Smallridge, you're recognized.
Yes, Mayor, do we know how many additional locations might be eligible in the future for this grant?
Well, so I put in the agenda packet this particular grant, and I know Commissioner Capshaw has also been communicating with folks on this one. Numerous providers may apply. They had to have successfully submitted a letter of intent to the state of Tennessee. These are federal dollars coming down to the state of Tennessee. There's over $800 million for the state. Currently, the number of homes are approximately, I think, my recollection is 1,400. They have 579 identified in Project Area 1, 459 in Project Area 2, and 140 in Project Area 3. But those locations are not yet confirmed. They have to be confirmed by the National Telecommunications. I can't remember. It's NTIA. It's Telecommunications and Information. I can't remember if it's administration or association, but they have to confirm those numbers. The number of locations in our county could go up, could go down. So we're waiting on that final designation. But the grant requires all project locations to be served by whatever provider wins the grant award.
Is each grant for each location, they could be different amounts? Is that correct?
So, well, if we do a match, our match would be just limited to the $10,000. I would say the grant amount will vary per project area because, so for instance, there's one project area right now that looks like 579. So the state may award them a lot more money in order to serve additional individuals. But the hard fix is the 3 separate project areas. So,
Thank you, Mayor.
yes.
Okay. All right, this will be a board vote. Any other discussion on this motion? All right, go to the board and vote, please.
I vote aye.
All right, 16 yes, 0 no, motion passes.
And then the last item is I'm requesting a motion to enter into the minutes the order reappointing Dusty Irwin to the Powell Clinch Utility District per the recommendation of the Powell Clinch Utility Board, and I attached the order, and it just has to be spread upon the minutes of commission.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Allen, seconded by Commissioner Yeager. Commissioner Wandell, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mayor, I'm fully going to support that. I was just curious, do you look like they give you the 3 names to choose?
They do, yes,
Okay.
sir.
So the 3
They
names
take
come from them.
applications and advertise it and accept it. So they sent 3 recommendations, and Mr. Irwin was the top recommendation.
Thank you.
All right, any other discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
All right. Robbie Holbrook.
Okay. First up, we have the Group 1 purchasing contracts. There are 9 contracts. All have been approved by the law director. Some we took under new business, but I'm hoping to take all these as a group.
Okay. All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Wandell, seconded by Commissioner Allen. Are these as a group, sir?
Yes, but I do have a question on one. You say all of these have been approved, the memorandum of understanding with the sheriff's office in town of Oliver Springs?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Yep, all those as a group.
All right. As those, I haven't looked, Robbie, are there any of those, I'm assuming we need to go to the board and vote on those, since there's some money involved in some of them. Any other discussion on this motion? If not, go to the board and vote, please. Motion passes.
All right, thank you. Moving into the cash and fund balance report ending November 30th, 2024. The general fund, restricted funds are at 2.2 million, committed funds 518,537, 4.5 million in assigned funds, unassigned fund balance 11,675,157, total fund balance 19,040,668, cash 16,923,325, which is up 2.5 million from last year at this time. Schools, 10,676,669 fund balance, cash 11,483,478. Any questions on the fund balance report?
All right. Commissioner Wandell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Robbie, the 101 fund, general fund, is that the fund where EMS and sheriff's budget is now?
They both are located there, yes, sir.
Okay.
We moved EMS this year, which is one of the reasons cash is up some. Their cash is in there. And I keep checking that revenue, and I even told Nathan tonight their collections are up 540,000 from this time last year. I said maybe we shouldn't have moved you out of the EMS fund. But.
So the assigned funds, 4.5 million there?
Yes.
Is that saying that's assigned for a project, or is that?
Some of those are assigned for a specific project. This is usually too where commission, like in or unassigned fund balance or rollover funds, we have moved some of those funds to assigned as well.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir. All right. Any other questions for Robbie? Go ahead, Robbie.
Okay, the sales tax report, we had a really good month for October, $4,070,036 for the county as a whole, up 8.9%. October's numbers for Anderson County portion, $497,462, which is up 25% from last October. And we're trending, just this fiscal year compared to the 4 months in last fiscal year, 1.5 million more in sales tax than last year. So those are good numbers.
Good.
Okay. ARPA projects, we did, in budget meeting, talk about a couple of new things with the ARPA funds. We had a project that we had committed $450,000 to, which was the CDBG grant. We still have the grant. We included some ARPA funds to go with that grant because the project was very expensive, and we did receive any bids in November for that project. So that meant we weren't going to be able to use these funds, the ARPA funds, by December if for that project, since there was no bids. So we put that back in the pot, which we had already spent more than we were starting to dip into our interest anyway. So remaining allocation total, we need to spend $296,810, which possibly up to $350,000 if some of these projects finish with a little money left over, which John thinks will happen. So he thinks we have at least $350,000 of funding we need to spend. But for a total with interest and everything, $637,416. So that's what we have available in the ARPA projects. But right now, $296,810, which needs to be spent by December 31st, or we have to turn back over. But we do have some things coming up later, obviously, to take care of that. Any questions on this report?
Go ahead, Roy.
Okay. And the grant projects list, inventory list, we did add 2 new grants down there at the bottom for the health department. Those days say $4 million, but we probably only use about 65,000 of that $4 million. That's way overstated, and it's a possibility of $4 million, but we don't go that far. And I did send Tracy a copy of some requests he made last commission meeting, just to see if there was anything, and I will try to bring a new format for this next month with some totals for each department. So, any questions on this report? No. Okay, moving into our budget amendments, Group 5 appropriations from the school. There are 3 of those, seeking approval as a group.
All right, we got a motion and a second to approve as a group. Any discussion? Seeing none, go to the board and vote. Motion passes.
Okay, Group 6 appropriations non-school. There are 10 of those with 18A. That motion was deferred to the February meeting on the longevity pay. So 10 budget amendments with the new business one of the finance opioid funds added at the end of $2,500.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Allen, seconded by Commissioner Varan as a group. Any discussion on the motion? All right, go to the board and vote, please. Motion passes.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to Group 9 miscellaneous. Under Section A, the solid waste mayor, it was a request for $14,000 in ARPA funding for geotechnical exploration, limited site clearing for geotechnical purposes, and construction materials testing and special inspections to expanded the county's recycling capabilities. That was approved. A motion was made by Commissioner Allen and seconded by Commissioner Mays to refer to the budget, the County Board of Commissioners with a recommendation for approval. That did come from ARPA funds as well.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? All right, seeing none, go to the board and vote. Motion passes.
Okay, Section B, nuclear industry, there was a presentation and some discussion. No action was taken. Under Section C, the property assessors restricted funds, a motion was made by Commissioner Beauchamp and seconded by Commissioner Palmer to refer to commission for the Board of Commissioners with a recommendation for approval. All this is the property assessor has been receiving a committed funds reserve every year, but one year they spent $125,000, so I zeroed it out, and but this year again I put $66,000 back in it based on his budget numbers last year, and I corrected some numbers from the year before. Audit still doesn't recognize it because they asked for the agreement from commission, which we don't have one that we can produce. Apparently Johnny has one, but it's not signed, so it was never signed by the chairman or the mayor, as most resolutions or agreements are. So this is just starting from scratch, recognizing this committed funds. It's committed because it's a vote from commission. The other some of the fee offices do have restrictions, like for technology, but those are state statute, they're by law. This would be a commitment that you all can support and vote up, or anytime can change and move it back to unassigned fund balance. It's commission's vote, so.
So this is a vote on the resolution.
Yes, well, the resolution will not be ready till next month. This is a vote to approve that so we can work on the resolution to bring back to commission next month.
All right. Is there any discussion on this motion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, section D, new business. We cover those under the purchasing contracts. And number 2, budget amendments under new business, the finance opioid funds, we also have approved as number 19. So disbursement of remaining ARPA funds. A motion was made by Commissioner Mays, seconded by Commissioner Smallridge, and passed to amend $500 gross for each full-time employee with 6 months or less of service and all permanent part-time employees, and $1,000 gross for all permanent full-time employees with more than 6 months of service. This is a plan to spend the remaining ARPA funds, and some of the interest would cost, with this motion, $468,413.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Allen, seconded by Commissioner Varon. Is there any discussion on this motion? Commissioner Val, I expected to see that.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll be abstaining on this vote, and according to our parliamentarian can correct me if I'm wrong, or our honorary parliamentarian or our law director, but abstaining for cause, therefore the count does get lowered to 8 instead of 9. I just wanted to address that with the board.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir. Commissioner McCamey.
Robbie,
does this include every employee in the county, all departments?
It includes all full-time employees and permanent part-time, which there are like 32 of those.
So the highway,
Yes.
I mean, it doesn't matter which
No,
fund.
everybody highway.
Okay.
It does not include CTAS salaries like elected officials and like my position or the law director, the clerk and master and election commissioner.
Okay, but it does include the highway department?
Yes. it
Okay.
does.
Thank you.
And sheriff's department.
All right. Any other discussion on the motion? Yes, sir.
It does not.
Okay.
There's CTAS as well.
All right. Please go to the board and vote. Motion carries 15 yes, 1 abstention.
Okay, I would just like to make a little public service announcement too. These checks will be ready Thursday morning for pickup. Since it's
Checks.
approved.
These are
will
gonna be actually cut
paychecks,
checks, right?
And each employee has to pick up their own check.
Cut
Not
check.
husband, wife, friend of the employee, only the employee, so. No supervisor, employee only.
Employee only.
We're doing a payroll audit as well, so that's the reason for that.
If there's anybody that doesn't appear, me and Michael will come pick them up.
And they'll have Thursday, Friday, and Monday before Christmas to get those.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Last motion, the last thing on the budget agenda was election commission payroll budget codes. There were 4 motions made, and I'm going to try to take these as a group because they were passed as a group. The first motion, and Commissioner Beauchamp made all these motions with Commissioner Vandegrift, the second, was to freeze all part-time hiring for the remainder of the fiscal year. The second motion was to freeze use of all machine techs and election workers until associated codes are cleaned up via budget amendments. The third motion was the election office submit timesheets to the finance department, and the fourth motion, was that election administrator Mark Stevens and the chairperson of election commission appear before the budget committee next month to discuss issues with budget findings.
Okey-doke. Commissioner Allen, is your motion to approve those as a group?
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Capshaw with the second. Is there any discussion on this motion?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
how will Mr. Stevens be notified of these?
I sent him a letter from myself and copied the chairman of commission, budget committee, and the mayor as well. I took care of that before I came to budget.
Has he acknowledged
He
receipt?
has.
Yeah.
He also sent me a
Yeah.
letter in return.
Okay.
And he's willing to work with me and the committee apparently, so, which was good.
So what's changed his mind?
I don't know, maybe
Budget committee.
Maybe the budget committee
And then
making some
tonight.
motions, I don't know.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr.
Yes, sir.
And I really appreciate that, so.
Are there any other discussion on this motion? Go to the board and vote, please. Motion carries.
All right, thank you very much. So, the
New item.
the veterans officers' pay raise, I guess. So that would be, I've got some information on that.
Do we have, so Commissioner McCamey putting it on there, was it your intent for it to be approved?
Yes.
All right. Is there a motion, and I'll get to you real quick. Commissioner McCamey with the motion, seconded by Commissioner Varon. Commissioner Wandell.
Actually, Mr. Chairman, it was on something else, but
Oh.
also, let's just stay on this. We're good.
Okay. Yes. I don't see anybody, Mayor, if you'd like.
So I just wanted to speak on this, and I have enormous respect for Mr. Nation and as well as the Veteran Service Office itself. But I do just I have to express some concern about this, and it is in no way, zero way, dealing with performance or anything like that. It goes to when we advertise this position in the salary range. And I was part of that process, and the raise that was messaged and shared was in regard to the certification process. And that once the new hire would be hired and they got that certification, at that point in time, there would be an increase in salary. That did happen. And then on July 1, with the raises that were given by commission, there was a second increase. And my concern with a over $10,000 increase within 6 months of hire is that no other candidate was messaged that they would be afforded this opportunity for an increase. And there was another internal candidate to Anderson County government who was a top-tier individual who did score the highest in the ranking on the reviews. And that individual did withdraw his name. And that's why I just felt like it's necessary for me to express this as a concern. I don't have, I know this particular individual may not even know about this. I know that person's character. I doubt that they would even do something like file a complaint. But I feel like it's noteworthy these are important when we message what a salary is going to be. And if other candidates would have known that within 6 months they were eligible for a third increase, so you have the increase for the certification, where we allowed paid time to get that certification, and then the raise, and then within 6 months another considerable raise during the mid-year. And again, I worked very closely with Scott. I like Scott. I did not want to raise this as a point. I was hoping this would go to budget committee where we could have had something in writing. But I do think that is something that we should be sensitive to when we advertise positions. I did reach out to HR to see if there was anything about such an increase in the hiring package, and there was not. So I just want to put that out there, and my apologies for putting it out there, but I felt like on behalf of the process that I needed to draw attention to that.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. Commissioner Val, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I guess if this does go back to budget, it's kind of a moot point. I can certainly ask it at budget or look up myself, but the mayor kind of touched on this. During our previous conversations here tonight, I heard the idea that Mr. Nations is making less than Leon had made. I believe someone made that comment, and that this would be an adjustment to correct that. Robbie, if that be the case, what happened with the difference that still should be in the budget between the two salaries?
He was hired before last fiscal year ended, so I took the salary down to what he was getting paid.
Okay.
With the additional increase for his, if his training was
Okay.
completed. So I had that in there. And then the other increase was a raise that everyone got.
I got you. All right. Thank you.
So
Thank you, Mr.
that's where the
Chairman.
budget's at right now.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Commissioner Yeager, you're recognized.
How much was the certification increase?
$2,500. And then the 4% increase was $2,000.
Okay, thanks.
All right.
And just this is information I provide Budget Committee, but we did also take his employee who worked 60 hours, made her an 40-hour a week full-time employee, and gave her a $3 raise when he was hired as well. So we have done those things to offset some, I guess, for Leon's experience and what have you. But this is just stuff I would provide to the committee if something like this. That's why I didn't really want to discuss it in county commission as well.
So based on, there's no funding in his budget. This motion would be, it would
This
have
would
to come
come out
from
of
unassigned.
unassigned, and it would need to increase budget salary, Social Security, Medicare, and retirement, which I don't have those I have the raise, obviously, but not the rest of it.
Right.
But that's an easy enough fix.
Okay. Commissioner McCamey.
Robbie, is this not the lowest paid department head that we have?
I would not know that without looking at a list of them. I know we have some that make in the 50s, that are department heads that have been here years. So.
Department head?
I can look one up right here. I have my little book in here. Let's see. We have a department head, a supervisor, that's 55.9 after probably 20 years.
What department?
Pretrial.
But that's not technically a department head. That's a supervisor.
Yeah, they're under that department is under the mayor.
Yeah.
And they have one employee, similar to the veteran.
Okay. All right. So the motion on the floor is to approve the increase that came from the Veteran Services Committee that would increase salary, Medicare, all of the other fringe benefits and retirement, right? Correct, Robbie?
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
The undesignated fund balance. Is there any other discussion on the motion?
Does this require just majority?
A board vote.
No, 2/3 was to get it on the agenda. It's here, so it would be just a majority vote.
Okay, thank you.
It would be a board vote. So, no other discussion, we'll go to the board and vote. Eight, motion fails. All right. At this point, I would just say, well, in terms of the legal opinion we asked at the beginning, get that from you and then discuss coming back at budget. It would be whatever everybody decides. So, Commissioner Smallridge.
I I think you answered my question. This will come back to budget, or does that have to be a motion?
I would imagine it's going to come back to budget, for sure. And then whatever Mr. Brooks provides as well. Commissioner Wandell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You know, I heard the mayor kind of throw out some stuff, and I intentionally didn't respond before the vote. And I figured the vote would fail because of the comments the mayor made, and it did. I can make the same argument that one could take action legally because it passed legally initially. There's something that's pretty passionate to me, and it's our veterans. It's not just Mr. Nation sitting back there. It's our 7,000 plus veterans in Anderson County. And I know we do a breakfast, and that's wonderful. But when we can't recognize a man that's taking care of our veterans, their spouses, their families, and bringing in the money to this county, that's a direct bottom line number coming in. Man, it makes me scratch my head and wonder, is it only cool to like veterans on Veterans Day? Is it only cool to like veterans on breakfast? No, if you really care about veterans, you care about them seven days a week, 365 days a year. This really bothers me, but I'll, Mr. Chairman, be quiet. I'll roll with the punches like I have when we vote down things that for $10,000, and then we'll pass things. You know, we just passed almost $10,000 added to the animal shelter, and we had 4 or 5 people speak against it. Not one of us have asked any questions. But we passed that money, and I voted for it too. I passed it. But that's okay. I look forward to Mr. Brooks's response and the legality of the passage of the consent agenda on the original motion, and I'll wait for that answer. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, Robbie?
Yes, nonprofit really quick. The reason I put this on the off the consent and on the regular agenda, there was 2 motions made, and I just want Commission to be aware. The first on Section 4, a policy to establish a maximum dollar donation. Commissioner Vandergrift made a motion, seconded by Commissioner Val, to amend the funding request limit to $5,000. In no case shall the request exceed $15,000. The motion passed unanimously.
Do you need a motion for that tonight?
I would like that sort of, yes.
Okay. Motion by Commissioner Yeager, seconded by Commissioner Palmer. Is there any discussion on this motion? Commissioner Smallridge.
Yeah, I just wanted to be sure. The amended motion that was passed says that requests will be limited to $5,000, but in no case shall the request exceed $15,000. Is the intent there to say under some special circumstances we will go to $15,000?
I believe so, yes. That was the intent.
Okay. I'm just not sure that's real clear to people, or going to be real clear to people.
There was even talk in the meeting, which we lost a quorum after about 15 minutes, that we even had some special requests that were more than 15,000 that we might would honor in a different way. We didn't get that far, but they did make this motion to just like it's, I mean, 15 limit to 5,000. In no case shall the request exceed 15,000.
All right, Commissioner Foster.
Is this per organization, per project, per year?
Well, yes, but there is a second request, that a second motion that's going to change that too as well. Per year, per organization, yes.
Okay.
All right, any other discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? No. Motion carries.
Okay, and the second motion made in the meeting is A motion by Commissioner Vandegrift and seconded by Commissioner Val to develop a policy specifying that any organization that receives a donation will have a 5-year waiting period before they can submit a additional funding request. Organizations that are denied a funding request may submit another request after 12-month waiting period. That motion also passed unanimously.
Got a motion by Commissioner Yeager, seconded by Commissioner Allen. Is there any discussion on this motion? All right, seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Motion carries. Is that all you got, Robbie?
That's all I have. Any questions?
All right.
Merry Christmas,
Merry
everyone.
Christmas, Robbie. Director of Schools.
Good afternoon. I hope you got a chance to read the report. It was really a good one this month. A lot of great things going on. Our students and staff really go all out to help our people in need at this time. I was delivering presents this morning to a school, and it's just a great time to show our kids how it is when you do things to help other people. And just a couple of things, as far as Claxton School, we're right on schedule. They're working with the fire marshal to get final approval. That should be done this week, and everything should be ready to go out to bid. We hope the bids will go out. It's not a good time right now, as we will put them out the 1st of January. They will be back in by January the 30th. I hope to have one a contractor done by the time of our February board meeting. So I think everything's right on schedule.
All right, any questions for Dr. Parrott? All right, seeing none.
Merry Christmas. I didn't ask for a penny tonight, right?
All right.
If I get my $5,000, you won't give it to me for 5 years.
Let's take a 7-minute recess.
Most of them are out there in the hallway. Hey, there we go. Right there. Go.
So we will march ahead. Annette, I think we should have got her a timer for Christmas. Mayor, can you?
Yes, sir.
The recorder that's right in front of you? It's recording. All right.
We're good.
Fine. Now we know. All right. Moving on to Mr. Brooks. You're up.
Law Director's report for this month sort of outlines what we've done. There are no action items on it. We did add a pending litigation section where we tried to take every case that we're aware of that's pending right now or has been recently concluded, and just to give you all a quick synopsis of where we're at on that, who's handling it, and if anything's coming up, but there are no action items in that regard.
Appreciate that. Thank you. All right. Any questions for Mr. Brooks? Commissioner Palmer, you're recognized.
I've been noticing the number of bankruptcies are going up every month. Have you noticed that too? Is there?
Commissioner, I think it may be that there were a lot delivered to us that covered a period of time, not like a month-to-month kind of thing, but maybe 2 or 3 months altogether.
Okay.
And so that pushed it up.
Okay, so it's not, I
don't think it's a trend.
Okay, all
To
right.
answer your question.
Thank you.
I have a quick question about that. I was just asking Commissioner Foster. The bankruptcies, when you report those, is that because Anderson County is an interested party?
Yeah.
All right. We're not just broadcasting. Okay. I should have asked that years ago, but I just wanted to.
Right. It's because Anderson County is an interested party delinquent taxes.
Very good. Commissioner Yeager, you're not on the list, but go ahead.
Is the Big Lots the Oak Ridge one?
Yeah.
Oh, is it really? Oh, okay.
That includes
Oak
Oak
Ridge.
Ridge, yes.
Yeah.
Commissioner Allen.
Yeah, I just want to thank Mr. Brooks for the pending litigation list there. That's very, very helpful.
Yes, sir. All right. Seeing nothing else, we will move on to operations. Chairman Isbell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Commissioner McCamey made a motion to designate a parking spot under the Jolly Building for all judges/assistants to use. Seconded by Commissioner Anderson. Motion passed forward to full commission for approval.
All right. We have a motion by Commissioner Anderson, seconded by Commissioner Allen. Commissioner Yeager, you have the floor.
I make it the motion has returned, but I'm going to go ahead and, I want to clarify this. I believe, the way I heard it, and I believe the intent was, the spot under the Jolly Building is for a judge and/or assistant, so one spot, and either one can use it. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right.
It'll be 4 different spots.
That's
Four
what-
judges?
That's the motion to approve tonight, is that the judge will have a spot under the Jolly Building for him or their assistant. But this is not taking into consideration the spots on the back side of the courthouse.
No, sir, those are City of Clinton spots, so those will be, they will stay there. So the judges will have 5 behind the courthouse and 5 in the Jolly Building. Yes. And Roger's already been working on it. He's got a
Surely that's
map.
sufficient.
Yes. That will park under the Jolly, and the judges will continue to park in the Clinton City
Yeah.
spots next to the building.
Yep.
Gotcha.
So
Is that the motion that we've got?
Yes.
All right. I will say this, and this may ruffle feathers, but I'm sorry. But I hate the fact that we are sitting here in a full commission meeting talking about parking spots. It is beyond juvenile and frustrating to me. If it was my pick, I would make a motion to move them all to the senior center and have Ethra bust them in, because this is, I think, a little much. But I also don't want to forget about the clerks who sit in the courtroom next to the judge's aides, because they're in court all day alongside the judicial assistants. If someone's wanting to approach them, I would argue that clerk is as recognizable and would be as targeted as the judicial aide. I totally get the argument of safety, and I'm 100% for it. And I'll approve this. I'll vote yes on this. But I just want us to keep in mind that we should not be in the business of legislating safety. That's something that really should be worked out. My understanding is that the sheriff is responsible for the safety of the building, and I would think that would extend to under the Jolly building, but I may be wrong. But I would just hope that we could get this thing settled before it comes to a legislative decision. Commissioner McCamey.
Court decision that said the county commission approves space. And that's part of our space. So it's up to this commission whether, and we had a request come before operations committee for the judge to allow his assistant to park there or whatever, but to designate the spaces for our judges. If anybody else needs one, like you said in the clerks, they should come and ask us about space, and we can designate space. I'm all in favor of it.
Yeah.
But this was my motion, is to allow the judges 5 spots behind the courthouse and 5 in the garage, and then they can let whoever park there that they want to. It's their spot.
Are those spots already in line for?
Yes,
they've been there, right?
We have 8 already. There are 5 behind the courthouse, which the mayor talked about, and there are 3 underneath the Jolly building.
3, okay.
And that's always been the scenario for years now. I share your frustrations and your concerns. I gave very explicit instructions for this issue not to come to county commission. I didn't want to waste your time with it, didn't want to get you involved in it. But to be candid, there was a particular assistant who felt a sense of entitlement and was pitching a fit that she needed a parking spot. And so they made the juvenile court move their car that had been sitting there for years out of the lower parking area under Jolly. They did that. It wasn't running. It was in poor shape. They had to have the motor pool move it. And then that particular assistant wasn't satisfied with parking in that particular place because it was striped off. And she didn't feel comfortable parking in the striped off spot, even though a car had been there for years. So we've ended up with reaching out to the subcommittee, and we've ended up with calls to county commissioners, and the chancellor and I have had to come up here and sit all afternoon just to make sure that our assistants don't somehow lose their urgent parking spots. My assistant has had multiple serious major health issues and has to bring an air tank to work sometimes. It's critically important that she have a nearby parking spot. My wife, who happens to be the assistant to Juvenile Court Judge Hunt, also has a litany of health issues, has a handicap placard. We simply don't have enough handicap spots over there. So I let my wife park in my old spot under Jolly because she's Judge Hunt's assistant and she needs that access because of her health issues. But we're here today because somebody's just got a sense of entitlement, feels like they're an assistant, and they ought to have a parking spot. There's 2 other places down there. Rex has been using one for years. I'm not sure it's fair to take Rex's spot. The other assistant that doesn't have a spot is the magistrate, Josephine Clark's assistant. Now, she's in advanced stages of pregnancy, probably does need a nearby parking spot to not have to, traverse all the way into the courthouse. And certainly there's safety issues when you're dealing with people's kids and all that sort of thing. There's the potential for retaliation. Chancellor Cantrell years ago was confronted twice at her parking spot. There are concerns there, right? I think it's incredibly unfortunate that we have to be here. Y'all have to talk about it. We have to be here to try to make sure that our assistants who desperately need the parking spots don't somehow lose those. And anyway, motion's up to you.
Commissioner Beauchamp.
I'll take the credit for that. When Judge Bowen came to me, I was the one that told her that she probably needed to come to commission because we're over the parking situation. I want it to be fair to all judicial assistants, not just to not health-related issues. You know, dealing with this, we're dealing with putting people in jail. We're putting people, taking kids away. We're dealing with that with juvenile court. Chancellor Forrester's dealing with it. Judge Spitzer, you have to put people in jail just as much as Judge Bowen has to put people in jail. It was not, I'm going to tell the story because I like telling them. Rex was not just taking up a spot. Rex was taking up 2 spots, him and his deputy clerk, and that's why we're here, because they decided to be petty and they decided not to move. So if we're going to put it out on the air, I'm going to put it out there. I don't care who likes it, but that's why we're here today, because we're leaving other judicial assistants out. I don't care who parks where. I don't care. But at the same time, we're not going to say it's okay for 2 to park there, but the other 2 go somewhere else. So if we're going to do that, we got to make it fair for everybody, or we say a free-for-all and everybody can park where they want to. But I'm going to take the full credit. I told Judge Bowen, since County Commission is over the parking, that she needed to bring it to operations and bring it to us through the proper legislative channel, because nothing was being resolved. Rex was not going to move. His deputy clerk was not going to move. This has been a 3-week thing. Tonight it needs to end. So I would ask that y'all approve the 2 other parking spots, give 5 parking spots to the judicial assistants. And if anybody else wants parking, just like Commissioner McCamey said, they can come before this legislative body and we'll decide where they can park.
Thank you, Commissioner. Just briefly, too, of course, everyone here knows me. I'm Chancellor Forrester, and just so you know, what got this started as well was my assistant, Miss Martin, who everyone here probably knows, was generally walking up and parking all the way up behind Dale Isabel's accounting office, which was not been a problem. And then 3 weeks ago, she literally was stopped walking by the courthouse and was begged for a very long period of time by someone who was out of state with a child to give them a ride. And it triggered so many red flags with me that I then might have started the issue, but it sounded very much to me, it turned out to be a legitimate thing, but it sounded very much like someone, it could have very well been a kidnapping type of scenario, trying to get it into her car. And so I probably was the initial person that started the parking lot fiasco, but without getting into how and why we're here, I think if the commission approves the proposal, that fixes the issue, and everyone, as Commissioner Beauchamp said, has a spot. And I agreed, and that's part of the reason I'm here as well. Is I talked with some of the staff over the weekend, and again, Joe Clark's assistant, we deal with child support and custody issues on a weekly basis, and we're in the habit of, in some cases, taking children away. Judge Spitzer's putting people in jail. I mean, things that people get very upset about. And so, again, and Joe Clark's assistant's going to be very far along in having a baby, I think, in February. So,
Thank you, Chancellor. Commissioner Val.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In the spirit of Christmas and giving gifts, I certainly have no objection at all for voting for this motion tonight, and not only because of all the issues that have been brought up at this point, but I'm in a rare position to actually work with these folks every day. And it is outside the courthouse where I think maybe we should start paying more attention. The issues, I think we've got the inside covered. I think the sheriff's office does a great job with the inside and knowing who is where and what's going on at what given time and trying to prepare ahead of time for stuff. The outside's the unknown. The outside is the area that we really have to start maybe looking at issues like this. And when we had the new entry downstairs, I mean, we were the mayor got that, we were behind the times, just doing that. So this is a growing process, and I understand everybody's frustration, but I think we're moving in the right direction. The only question I would have, and I don't think it requires a separate vote, is Mayor, if you would maybe ask Roger to look at that one parking space over there where that juvenile car was for a year or so. I think I don't know how it was marked. I don't know if it was marked as ADA or if it was just marked off for some other reason, but maybe if we could take up the striping off of that or paint over to whatever, that might help solve this issue a little bit.
Yes, sir, and I believe at Operations Committee, Commissioner McCamey actually even mentioned, I thought Roger's name might even have been in that motion, but it wasn't.
Okay.
But I went that very next morning and talked to Roger. He already set to work on it. I mean, he's got the map. There are, I know there is one, I think, and we're not going to put judicial on there just like we don't around the courthouse because the point is security.
Yes, ma'am.
So we will reserve them. Roger's got the area already picked. Some of the striping is necessary for vans.
Okay.
So it may be, an ADA spot, but then you do have to have that striped area to give so much clearance if someone is unloading a side wheelchair or they drive themselves. So that's what that striping is about. But there is at least one other spot there. Like, so for instance, I think there's one that says buildings and grounds on there that our folks don't use, and Roger doesn't even know how or when it got put on there. But there are some other places that if someone wants to be first to arrive, they can get there early in the morning and get the spot.
Thank you, Mayor.
So I think we've got it worked out.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir. All right, we ready for a vote? All right, seeing no other discussion, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Commissioner Wandell, sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to say to all the judges here tonight how much I appreciate what you do. Don't hear a lot of negatives, so that means you're doing good things. I'm sorry that you had to come in this circumstance, but keep doing the good things you're doing, and I appreciate what you do for the county. I know everyone here does too. Merry Christmas to each of you and your families. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir. All right. Sorry,
Okay.
Commissioner.
All right, this next one, we covered the monetary part, but I want to go ahead and read the same resolution again. Commissioner Foster made a motion to approve resolution number 24-12-1192 to bring fiber broadband to unserved and underserved locations in Anderson County. Seconded by Commissioner McCamey. Motion passed unanimously forward to full commission for approval. And the reason why I'm saying that probably twice is because it's so important to the rural parts of Anderson County.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Allen, seconded by Commissioner Capshaw. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Commissioner McCamey made a motion to authorize the county mayor to write a letter of support for Frontier's application. Seconded by Commissioner Yeager. Motion passed unanimously to forward to full commission for approval.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Foster, seconded by Commissioner Allen. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Commissioner Yeager made a motion to approve the draft of the Code of Ethics for Anderson County with modifications to Section 5.1 and 4.8 to include language clarifying process in the event the law director is the subject of complaint. Seconded by Commissioner McCamey. Motion passed unanimously forward to full commission for approval.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Smallridge, seconded by Commissioner Capshaw. Any discussion on this motion? All right, seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Commissioner McCamey made a motion to approve the Fire Academy letter, seconded by Commissioner Yeager. Motion passed unanimously forward to full commission for approval.
All right, we've got a motion by Commissioner Foster, seconded by Commissioner Smallridge. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Commissioner Foster made a motion to send the opioid settlement funds to full commission for approval so it can move forward with it. Seconded by Commissioner Anderson. Motion passed. And Mr. Chairman, there was a few things that was spread out like in the minutes. I don't think all commissioners have seen it, but it was sent so we could move expeditiously for the opioid settlement committee.
Yes, sir. All right, we got a motion by Commissioner Foster, seconded by Commissioner Capshaw. Is Is there any discussion on this motion? All right, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion carries.
Commissioner Yeager made a motion to approve resolution number 24-12-1191 establishing 2025 meeting dates and times for Anderson County Board of Commissioners, seconded by Commissioner McCamey, and that motion failed. So then Commissioner McCamey made a motion to forward the recommendation of full commission with understanding that we do away with the daytime meetings, seconded by Commissioner Anderson. Commissioner McCamey amended the motion to include changing the February meeting to the fourth Monday, February 24, 2025, instead of Thursday. Motion passed.
Yes, sir. All right, is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, so this does do away with day meetings?
Does away with
Man,
day
I
meetings.
hate that.
I'm sad.
Yeah. All right, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Motion carries.
I'm with you, Tyler.
All right,
Commissioner McCamey made a motion for the full commission with understanding we do it was, I already read that one, strategic planning update. Commissioner Foster made a motion to have the next meeting on February 7th, 2025 from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the Senior Center, seconded by Commissioner Anderson. Motion passed unanimously to forward the full commission for approval.
all right. February 7th, 8 o'clock. Is that correct?
I think we did 8:30 and 4:30, didn't we? Yes, we did 8:30. Okay, we did do 8:30 because for Commissioner Yeager.
Yeah.
And we are looking at the senior center. I think, Mayor, you're going to check on that for us.
Yes.
So that's with an amendment from 8:30 to 4:30?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. If something happens with logistics, we can just get with Annette and we can work that out. All right, we got a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, that concludes the Operations Committee report. Thank you,
sir. All right, we will, we have no unfinished business. There was, our new business got put into the Budget Committee section. Any announcements before we adjourn? Commissioner, Allen, sorry.
I just want to convey my condolences to a friend of mine that passed away. Clarence was my barber, if you can imagine that. But he was a great man, a great citizen of our county, and he passed away. So I just wanted to convey my condolences to his family.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Commissioner Val, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I hope this isn't out of order, but I feel kind of obligated to do it. I'd like to wish my wife, Christy, a very happy birthday today as she turns 25.
We are all in favor of saving your marriage, sir. You never have to ask for that.
Thank you, Mr.
Commissioner Varon.
I must once again propose that we bring up the issue of vouchers in our schools. I sent out a letter to everybody with a possible resolution we could use. I'm afraid that if we don't pass something tonight, it'll be voted on in January before we have a chance to let our representatives know our feelings about this. It passed very well last year, and I'd like to get a vote on it.
Thank you, Commissioner Varon. So, Legislative Committee will be meeting on January the 9th. The legislative session will start January the 14th in Nashville. Commission will be voting, I guess that Monday thereafter or Tuesday thereafter. I think it would, my understanding from talking to State Representative Scarborough is that, of course, that is a very controversial bill, and the fact it won't, again, I don't want to knock on wood, but it will not see a vote in January at all. I can't imagine both chambers even coming to slightly the resemblance of an agreement that fast. But we do have a legislative committee session, committee meeting scheduled with the intent to address the school vouchers, and then we would vote if it comes out of committee vote But I think that our delegation is very well aware where this body stands. Any other announcements, Commissioner White?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Oliver Springs is having their Christmas parade this coming Saturday, starting at 6 o'clock. And one of the restaurants in Oliver Springs, Ruby's Diner, is giving, or they're preparing free Christmas dinners. They've got 650 gifts to give out to the children that show up. So everybody's welcome in Oliver Springs. Bring a few dollars and spend it with us.
Absolutely. All right. Seeing nothing else, I wish everyone in here a Merry Christmas. And seeing nothing else, we will stand adjourned.